Yo, what is up guys? Welcome to the day 46 recap of the 2016-2017 NBA season. Yo, I have seen the light. I have seen the way. It has been illuminated to me. It has made itself crystal clear to me. I happen to be talking about the Utah Jazz. Yo, the Utah Jazz did something that no other team has been able to do so far this season. Then they've been able to come back. Yes, they lost to the Golden State Warriors, who have the best record in the NBA, who are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NBA at the moment. See, the Golden State Warriors are like a snowball. See, they're a snowball going downhill. Once they get rolling, they accumulate more and more steam until they eventually just roll you over and roll you straight out the game. And that started to happen to the Utah Jazz last night. I remember a point where the score was like 28-5 in their first quarter. It looked like it was about to be a rout. 4 of the Utah Jazz starters were not playing, yo. Rodney Hood, out. Gordon Hayward, out. George Hill, out. Derek Favors, out. So you can kind of, like expect a blow. Like if this was a blow, you wouldn't be too surprised at all, especially since Golden State has been blowing out teams left and right this season. But that didn't happen, yo. In the first half, the Golden State Warriors kept the lead to around 20 points. Yo, they were around 20 points in the first half. They looked like they were on their way to score. They're average 120 points per game this year. They had like 60 something points in the first half. So it looked like they were going to get their 120 point mark. It looked like they were going to do that, win the game by 20 or 30, just another typical win for the Golden State Warriors. But in the second half, something happened to the Utah Jazz where they were like, you know what, cut the nonsense. We don't have to take this. We can stop this snowball that is rolling, that is this huge snowball that is right in front of our face, that is about to squash us right on the ground. They decided that they can stop that. And they almost did. Utah Jazz came back. It got the game to within double figures. I forgot exactly how close they got the game, but they made a game out of it. And then the Warriors started to hit back, got some and ones, made some threes, stretched the lead to about 11. Then the Jazz kept, like flirting, like getting it down to like 7. The Warriors get it back to 11. The Jazz get it back to 7. The Warriors get it back to 11. And that was something, if you're a Jazz fan, that you have to be really proud about. Considering, like I said, 4 of your starters were out of the game. All of basically your scoring options, except for Joe Johnson, and Joe Ingles also had a career night. He had 21 points. All of your main scoring options were out of the game. Some of your best defenders were out of the game. And you still managed to put up one heck of a fight against one of the best teams in the NBA. What I'm trying to say is, the Utah Jazz are serious. The Utah Jazz are an extremely good team. If I were the Warriors, I would try to avoid the Utah Jazz like they are the bubonic plague in the playoffs. So I would be doing everything I can. Even if I had to drop down to the second seed by like blowing the last 10 games of the season, I would avoid the Utah Jazz in the playoffs at all costs. Oh, young team. You have to love being the fan of a young team. I can feel your pain, Minnesota Timberwolves fans. I can feel your pain. You're winning going into the fourth quarter. You're putting up a really good fight against the Toronto Raptors. You are, yo. You're winning by 1 going into the fourth quarter, and then you just blow it all away. The Toronto Raptors wound up winning this game 124-110, but the thing is, the Toronto Raptors scored 36 points in the fourth quarter and only gave up 21 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, this is a classic symptom of a young team. Being right there in a game with a very good team up until the fourth quarter, and then just choking it away. Zach LaVine, you guys sleep. Zach LaVine has the potential to be a superstar. I know people are like, nah, you crazy. You can be an all-star or whatever, but no. Zach LaVine has all the tools to be a superstar. Keep in mind, he's only in his 3rd year in the NBA. I think people get the notion that he's as good now as he could possibly be, give you around 20 points per game. We've seen the best of Zach LaVine. This is who he is. You'd be sadly mistaken to think that, he's still getting better. He's getting better even in this season. Last night, 29 points, 6 assists. He was 12 of 20 from the field, 3 of 8 from downtown. This is a man that can literally score in any given way. You name a way and he can score in that way. He doesn't have like a post-up game yet. He doesn't have like a solid post-up game yet. I think that that's the next thing he'll add to his repertoire. He'll add a post-up game and then he'll literally be able to score in any given way. But for the Toronto Raptors, Jonas Valanciunas stepped up. I would love to see this version of Valanciunas every single night, but it's just never been able to happen. He gave you 20 and 10 last night, and he averages around 12 and 10 on the year, around that, but he only plays like 25 minutes per game. Last night he played 29, so he gave you 20 and 10, which is a really good game for Valanciunas. And of course you had Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan doing their thing. DeMar DeRozan had 27 points, 5 assists and 8 rebounds. Kyle Lowry also had 25 points, 11 assists, and a couple of rebounds. And he was also still on fire from three. Kyle Lowry has been an absolute tear from the three-point line. But the Raptors won again. They're now 15-7 on the year, sniffing at the Cleveland Cavaliers' heels, just waiting for the Cleveland Cavaliers to mess up so they can grab that #1 spot in the East. Kawhi Leonard got the best of Jimmy Butler last night, but the Chicago Bulls got the best of the freaking San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs were undefeated on the road going into this. So they had won, I think it was like 13 games in a row, all 13 of their games on the road so far this year, and they finally lost. They finally lost on the road, but that's crazy, They were 13-0 on the road. They were making other people's home courts their home courts. That's just insane. They finally lost to Chicago Bulls 95-91. Like I said, Jimmy Butler struggled against Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, one of the best defenders in the NBA, if not the best defender in the NBA. Especially, he is the best perimeter defender in the NBA without a doubt. But Jimmy Butler, 4 of 14 from the field, 13 points. He also had 9 rebounds though and 4 assists. But it was the entire starting lineup for the Chicago Bulls. The entire starting lineup chipped in and got the win. Dwayne Wade led with 20 points. You had Jimmy Butler, of course, with a 13. Taj Gibson at 12. Robin Lopez at 12 and Rajon Rondo at 12 points, almost a triple-double, 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. And the Chicago Bulls broke their, I believe it was 3-game losing streak and got back on the winning path. Oh, I know Damian Lillard hates himself after that. I know Damian Lillard hates himself after that. This game, the Portland Trail Blazers look like they're gonna win. The Portland Trail Blazers look like they're gonna win going into the fourth quarter. They're up 12 going into the fourth quarter. And then, well, everything fails. They lost the game 88-86. They lost 88-86 to the Memphis Grizzlies. Marc Gasol is still on a tear. He had 36 points last night to go along with his 9 rebounds. Marc Gasol, I'll keep preaching this, but he is one of the best centers in the NBA. I think if a lot of GMs had to choose, they would choose Marc Gasol over DeMarcus Cousins, only because you know what you're getting from Marc Gasol every night, and you don't have to risk throwing your locker room into turmoil or having there's the negatives that come along with DeMarcus Cousins. Damian Lillard in the final seconds, not even the final seconds, in the final second, he fouls a jump shooter. He fouls freaking Tony Douglas on what would have been a very tough jumper to make. All you had to do, put your hands up. Don't jump, just put your hands up, Damian Lillard. Put your hands up, that's all you had to do. You jumped into him, and you got hit with the foul. He made both free throws with 0.5 seconds left of the game. Portland, no timeouts, and of course you know how that went. Anthony Davis. I'm sorry, buddy. I truly am, I'm sorry. The man goes out there, logs 41 minutes. 41 minutes, has 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks. 41 minutes. And loses to Philadelphia 76ers by 11. I'm terribly sorry for what you had to play with that they call a team. I'm sorry. Hopefully it gets better. You're probably going to the lottery. Get a nice draft pick. Get someone that can actually play alongside with you. Get someone that can actually play alongside you. Hopefully Buddy Hield continues to improve or starts to improve again. He had a nice game a couple of games ago. After that, though, he's been not the best again, but it can only get better from here. Remember that. Well, it actually could get worse. He won 7 games. That could be a lot less. It could be, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0. But it got better for the Washington Wizards. They went out and beat the Denver Nuggets. And again, was not the most entertaining game. Look, not many of the games were entertaining tonight. Golden State and Utah turned out to be a pretty good game. Toronto and Minnesota was actually probably the best game of the night. But this game, it was a game at least. Bradley Beal had a good game. 26 points, 4 of 7 from 3. He also had 5 assists. And, John Wall also did his thing. He had 15 points and 5 assists and 7 rebounds. Not quite the 52-point game, but I think he'd rather have a W than a 52-point game on any night. So I'm glad that they got the win. And that about wraps it up for all the action of the Day 46 recap of the 2016-2017 NBA season. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to smack that like button, guys. Smack that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more videos posted just like this every single day. And you guys already know what that means. I will be right back here tomorrow recapping the action from tonight. So until then, keep getting the buckets, Team SDC, and I'm out of here. Peace!